The Song at Cliffs Moher, Ireland, 1949. On the wild western edge of Ireland, where the Atlantic perpetually crashed against the ancient stone, lay the Cliffs of Moher. This was the domain of Maeve O'Sullivan, a fisherman's daughter whose voice was as much a part of the landscape as the sea stack and the roaring wind. Each morning, before the mist had fully lifted, Maeve stood on the dizzying precipice. Her father's small curragh was a dark speck far below, and as he cast his nets into the churning water, she sang. Her melodies were old Gaelic airs, mournful and strong, rising above the ceaseless, hungry cry of the gulls. It was a voice that belonged to the elements, raw, pure, and capable of carrying farther than the farthest tide. One misty dawn, the monotony of the coastline was broken by the quiet appearance of a traveler. Conor Byrne, a young violinist from Dublin, had been making his pilgrimage along the coast. He was searching for inspiration, trying to capture the elusive, untamed spirit of the West in his music. He had found none until he paused on the path and heard a voice that made the hair stand up on the back of his neck. It was a sound that seemed to pull the ocean and the sky into a single breathtaking chord. He found her eventually on the edge of the world. Her hair, the color of wet sand, was tangled by the wind, and her eyes, bright as sea glass, were fixed on the horizon. He stood silently until she finished her song, a lament about a lost ship. And when she turned, his heart felt a strange, thrilling lurch. They spoke for hours, the wind whipping their words away only to bring them back again. They talked of the sea, which was both beautiful and cruel, of the silent language of music, of the shared loneliness of souls adrift, and of the grand, terrifying dreams that kept them alive. Day after day, Conor returned with his battered violin, and together they played. His strings were polished and precise, the elegant sound of the city. Her voice was untamed and instinctive, the echo of the wild moors. Yet they met perfectly, weaving together in a music born of mist and spray, a conversation between the cultivated and the elemental, where the sky met the sea. Before the season changed and the time came for him to return to the orderly life of Dublin, Conor took a piece of parchment and wrote her a melody. It was a simple, breathtaking tune that sounded exactly like the rise and fall of the waves, the cry of a distant gull, and the hopeful thrum of two hearts. He called it The Edge of Forever. "This is us," he told her, tracing the notes with a fingertip. "And it will always be here." Then he left. Time, indifferent to promises and beautiful songs, moved on. The cliffs remained, enduring, but the seasons carried people away. Letters grew scarce and then stopped entirely. The world of Dublin was far from the world of the fishing boat. Years passed, blurring into a decade. Conor returned, older, quieter, his face lined not by battle, but by the relentless pressures of a life spent chasing fame and fulfillment that always seemed just out of reach. He went directly to the cliffs, to the exact spot where they had shared their music. The wind was the same, fierce and salty. The gulls still cried. But Maeve was not there. He stood for a long time, the ache of memory a dull, heavy weight in his chest. He had broken no promise of his own, yet he felt a profound failure. The silence where her voice should have been was deafening. He walked down the winding path toward the water's edge, near the tiny, sheltered cove. And there, by a tide pool, stood a little girl. She was singing to the sea, her hair the same wild, sandy color as Maeve's had been, her small voice rising in perfect pitch. He stopped, utterly still. The melody she sang was unmistakable. It was his tune, their song, The Edge of Forever. He approached softly, his heart trembling. The girl looked up, her eyes wide, bright, and the color of sea glass. "She said you'd come back." The child smiled up at him, a smile that was Maeve's made new. "She said if ever a sad gentleman came looking, I was to sing this song." "And who taught you the tune, little one?" Conor managed to ask, his voice thick with emotion. "My mother," she said simply. "And she taught me how the notes are supposed to follow the wind." Conor didn't need to ask anything else. Maeve's love, like the wind itself, had never truly left the cliffs. He slowly lifted his own violin from its case, the polished wood feeling familiar and heavy. And as the wind rushed past the cliffs, the melody of The Edge of Forever rose again. Her song, their song, played not as a lament for what was lost, but as a duet between two generations, carried out to the vast, timeless sea where love never truly ended, only changed its voice.